Well, first, good afternoon. Great to see so many of you. I can't wait till we can get together and do this in person. This is by way of Zoom is getting old, I'm sure, for all of us. But before I get started, I want to make sure that I did thank our University System Board of Trustees, President Bobbitt, Chancellor Steinmetz, for their continued support, not only during this process, but throughout this past year, and for our student athletes and coaches. I want to thank our CFO and Deputy AD, Clayton Hamilton, for his assistance during this process, as well as our Chief and Senior Legal Counsel, Matt McCoy, who was instrumental in us wrapping this up so quickly. I also want to thank our Razorback Foundation staff and so many of our Razorback Foundation donors who really stepped up and went above and beyond what their normal annual donations would be to make sure that we were able to appropriately sign Coach Musselman to a deal that I think he deserves and is reflective of where our basketball program is and where we want it to be moving forward. So that's my gratitude. But obviously, as this season progressed, many asked me about Coach Musselman and the renegotiation of his contract. And Coach and I communicate, as I indicated, on a regular basis, and thought it was in the best interest of everybody involved if that went to the back burner and we just focused on winning basketball games through the completion of the SEC season and then into the NCAA tournament. And that's exactly what we did. Shortly after the season was over, Coach and I got together and talked about really what was important to him moving forward to continue to be our head coach, and how I could take care of him and show that his efforts and what he was building here were appreciated. And that's why we're here today. We're able to sign Coach to a new agreement. I think all of you have the details of that agreement, but it's my goal as the Director of Athletics that Eric Musselman is our basketball coach for as long as he wants to be. We compensated him towards the top of the Southeastern Conference, which is our goal, and also in the top 10 in the country. So with that, Mike, I think you're going to turn it over to Coach, and then I'll take some questions.
Yes, Coach Muss, if you could give us a brief opening statement.
Yeah, no, I mean, I can't, myself and my family, we can't be more thankful for, Hunter believing in us and Chancellor Steinmetz and all the people that Hunter thanked, not just for myself, but for my wife, Danielle. And then with the timing, just to kind of piggyback on what Hunter just said, it's exactly how it went down. I mean, we were so focused on winning games. And then even when our season was over, Hunter and I talked, and I said, can we wait a little bit? There's still the portal that we're trying to work through. So we're just really appreciative of the opportunity, and we understand coaching here at Arkansas is so special, and we're building something that we think is really special, and we can't wait to continue moving forward and building off last year's success. And there's a lot of hard work that we have to do to continue this thing, but we look forward to it. And really, I think anytime, something like this happens, it's really a credit to the culture that starts at the top, starting with Hunter in our athletic department, and then funneling down to our coaching staff and our support staff in our building that work tirelessly. And then ultimately, it really comes down to the players and their dedication to what's happened over the last 2 years. It's really a credit to what our guys have done as well. So with that, Mike, it's back at you.
Thanks, Coach. Again, if you have a question, raise your hand. With a lot of people on here, I don't have everyone on my screen at once. So but I'll let Bob ask the first question of Hunter. And again, all first rounds of questions will be just for Hunter. Thanks.
Hey, Hunter, how you doing?
Good, Bob. How are you?
I don't think I can ever remember so many big jobs opening up after a season, like Indiana, North Carolina, Arizona, go on and on. Texas, how concerned were you? It seemed like Eric, I guess as a compliment, he showed up on everybody's short list for those openings. How concerned were you about some of these other very attractive jobs coming after Eric?
Well, I mean, obviously it is a tribute to our program and success of as Eric talked about, our student athletes and Eric and his staff. But him and I have a great relationship. We talk on a regular basis. And I trusted him when he told me this is the place he wanted to be. And, when I think we've got to give our men's basketball program a little bit more credit than to think that all of those schools you mentioned are better basketball jobs than we have here at the University of Arkansas with the fan base that we have, the recruiting base that we have. And so I wasn't necessarily worried about many of those jobs, to be honest with you, Bob, because I think what we have here is really, really special. And I think Coach Musselman realizes that as well.
Hey, one more quick one. I saw the clause about the University of San Diego, which I know is Eric's alma mater, and it's a fine school, I'm sure, in a wonderful city. Was that Eric's idea? And I guess how worried are you about the University of San Diego stealing Eric away?
If as Coach Musselman continues to age, if he wants to go and finish his career at the University of San Diego, who am I to keep him from that opportunity, Bob?
Okay, thanks.
Nate Allen.
Yeah, Hunter, was this almost done with kind of a comfortable urgency where, I mean, you all wanted to get it done fast, but there was, on the other hand, kind of no rush because of the trust you all had in each other and the whole process of what Eric was going through with the portal and other things?
Yeah, I think that's a great way to describe it, Nate, with a comfortable sense of urgency. And the sense of urgency really surrounds the portal because there's so many young men in the portal and so many that have an interest in the University of Arkansas. And as rumors start to swirl out there in the national media markets about Eric being a candidate here and a candidate there, other schools can use that against us in the recruiting process. And so it's really important for us to get that locked up for the players that we were pursuing in the portal made other decisions because someone used the fact that I had not signed Eric to an extension against us.
Did you ever have any doubt at all during the process, or were you pretty comfortable the whole way?
I was very comfortable the whole way. Never did I think that Eric Musselman did not want to be the head basketball coach at the University of Arkansas.
Thanks.
Andrew Hutchison.
Hunter, I know you said that y'all put it on the back burner during the season, but was there ever a point for you during the season, like, okay, I know I'm going to need to rework this deal, and did it kind of just keep evolving as they continued to win?
Yes, Andrew, it did. You know, I mentioned earlier, I think the Razorback Foundation donors, because many of them stepped up. I mean, we're still in the middle of a pandemic. We've had a really tough year financially, as many schools across our country have had because we've had reduced capacity. So our budget's down about $35 million in revenue. And so about during the middle of February, I started touching base with some of our donors that I know had a specific interest in our men's basketball program and had a liking for Eric in the direction he had our program, and just said, hey, I may be calling on you as we get to the end of the season because I may need your help in making sure we take care of Coach Musselman the way we're going to need to take care of him to retain him. And so we started formulating that plan, myself and the Razorback Foundation. And, you know, it continued to grow a little bit as each time we won in the NCAA tournament. And that's the cost of success, which I'll take that anytime.
Again, if you have a question, please raise your hand. Next, we'll go to Hayden.
Hey, Hunter, thanks so much for doing this so quickly for us. I'm just sort of curious, these coaching searches and agreements, and so much is hush-hush, but you guys have been putting out these videos via the social media team. I mean, I know this process is so interesting to us, especially in the media, but the fact that you guys put these videos out sort of on a daily basis and we saw this coming, I mean, why do you guys take that kind of unique approach to this sort of situation?
Well, I think it's a lot of it goes back to the recruiting. And Coach Musselman has an incredible social media following. And I think he is hip with many of the young men we're recruiting and trying to attract to our program. And, you know, that first video we set out was very impromptu. Eric's agent and I kind of came to a formal verbal agreement about 9:45, 10 o'clock on Monday night. Shortly thereafter, I got a text and a ring at my doorbell, and it was Eric and Danielle wanting to celebrate and have a champagne toast with Jennifer and I to celebrate his new agreement, which is pretty cool. And so we took a picture that night to kind of memorialize that. But since the agreement wasn't in writing, we couldn't really put anything else out there other than that little tease. And then, of course, we had a little tease on the bus yesterday, and then got the agreement officially executed early part of this afternoon. So that's kind of how that process and how that all came to be. But that's more of Coach Musselman as a recruiting tool for him. As you've seen, he is active, as is his entire team, on social media.
I'm still mad at Hunter that he got to post that tweet too. He got a lot of likes on that thing.
Any other questions for Hunter? Scotty?
Yeah, Hunter, just looking ahead to next season, just what are your impressions of the guys that Eric and his staff have been able to grab out of the portal with even proven players from big leagues or even some high-level guys at the mid-major level?
Sure. I mean, I just talked to Coach about them, and I've watched their videos, and all impressive young men, at least in their highlight videos, but there's a reason they call them highlight videos, and I'm sure Coach Musselman will fine-tune his game and blend our new players in with our returning players, and was over in the training room yesterday, and pretty exciting to see those guys, and they're in there already working hard. Devo and KK and Jalen, looking forward to next season and getting better both in the weight room and on the court. And we're in April, and our season's just been completed for about 2 weeks, and those guys are already dialed in and focused on getting better for next year. And that's the culture that Eric has set within our program.
Thanks, Scotty. Looks like we don't have any other questions for Hunter, but I'll ask him to hang out just a little while in case
Hey,
someone.
Mike, I think Nikki had a question.
Okay, Nikki?
Yeah. Hey, Hunter, the buyout goes from 7.5 million down to 2 after this one season, I believe, if I have that right. Could you just explain like what the logic is in having such a big one and then just shortly after one season it dropping down so low?
Sure. I think that shows the level of trust between Coach Musselman and myself, and my belief that this is the place that he wants to be. And there's not anything that needs to be written in a contract with any dollar amount on it that will keep him here. Plus, I hope I incentivized him. If you also notice, there's a $1.5 million bonus in there for him if he's our coach in 5 years. And I think that's a pretty heavy incentive for him to stay. But I think it goes back to the trust that him and I have with each other of why that buyout is what it is.
I think Bob has a follow-up, but again, I can't see everyone on my screen. So if you have a question, please use the raise your hand function. Bob?
Yeah, thanks, Mike. I did have one. Hunter, seriously, was that Eric's idea about the University of San Diego, or his agents, or how did that thing even end up in the contract?
That I don't know if it was Eric's idea or not, but that came from Eric's representative. Yes.
Okay, and then I mean, obviously everybody likes money and wants to be well paid and all that. But Nolan Richardson used to say, I'm paraphrasing here, that it wasn't just about the money, it was about what it said about you, like where you rank. Like if you felt like you were one of the best coaches, you wanted to be paid like top 5 money. And this moves Eric from like 49th to top 10. How big a consideration was that? Like, hey, I feel like I've got a top 10 coach. He should be compensated as such.
Well, I knew we didn't have the 49th best coach in the country, and I knew we didn't have the 13th best coach in the Southeastern Conference, Bob. And Coach Musselman deserved to be paid. And I think as I look at through the USA Today research, that this puts him in the top 10, in the top 3 or 4 in the Southeastern Conference. And I think he's where he should be now.
Thanks.